He thinks of you every time this happens. And tonight you're about to understand exactly why. If you've been feeling sudden waves of emotion, unexpected memories, or a pull toward him out of nowhere, don't ignore it. This video holds a truth that will shift your understanding of your twin flame journey in the next few minutes. Before we dive deeper, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a message meant for your heart at the exact moment you need it. You're here because your intuition guided you. Something inside whispered that this message was meant for you. And that whisper is the same echo he feels every time certain moments unfold in his life. Moments where his thoughts travel to you effortlessly, without permission, without logic. He thinks of you every time silence surrounds him. When the world pauses, even for a breath, and his heart has room to speak. In those quiet spaces, your energy rises within him before he even realizes what's happening. He thinks of you every time he feels a sudden sense of peace. Because your connection has always been a sanctuary, a place where his soul rests even when his mind is restless. The calm reminds him of you. He thinks of you every time life overwhelms him. Not because you caused pain, but because loving you awakened a strength and softness he can't find anywhere else. When he feels lost, his soul reaches toward what once made him feel grounded, you. He thinks of you every time he hears a song that mirrors your story. Melodies become messages. Lyrics become confirmations. And his heart responds before his mind can shut it down. He thinks of you when he notices synchronicities. The numbers, timing, the repeating signs he once ignored. They appear like soft taps on his spirit, and every time they lead back to you. He thinks of you every time he dreams deeply. Because dreams bypass logic. They speak the language of emotion, memory, and soul. And in that realm, he cannot hide from what he feels. He thinks of you when he is vulnerable. When his guard drops, even for a moment. When he's tired, quiet, or alone with himself. That's when your presence rises, undeniable and tender. He thinks of you every time someone mentions connection, destiny, or a bond that can't be explained. His mind may pretend to shrug it off, but his heart tightens with recognition. He thinks of you every time his emotions surprise him. When something small triggers a big feeling and he doesn't know why. But you do because you feel it too. He thinks of you when he catches himself smiling at nothing. Those moments when joy appears from nowhere. That joy is a reflection of the part of him that still remembers you vividly. He thinks of you every time he senses someone truly sees him. Because you once looked into him, not at him. And that kind of seeing is unforgettable. He thinks of you every time life feels incomplete. There is a missing piece within him that he pretends not to notice. Yet whenever he feels that emptiness, your presence fills it for a moment. He thinks of you every time he tries to move on. Not because he wants to return to the past, but because your energy created an imprint he cannot erase. It's etched into his emotional DNA. He thinks of you every time he feels the universe nudging him. Softly, insistently, lovingly. The guidance always points toward growth, truth, and healing, and you are part of that path. He thinks of you when he feels inspired, because you awaken something inside him. Ambition, purpose, desire, hope. Those sparks still live within him. He thinks of you every time he feels misunderstood, because with you there was a rare clarity, a sense of being known at the soul level. And that memory lingers like a warm flame. He thinks of you when life surprises him. When something unexpected happens, good or bad. His instinct is to want to share it with someone who once understood him without needing explanation. He thinks of you every time he tries to silence his heart. That's when your energy becomes the loudest. The more he resists, the stronger it echoes. He thinks of you when he sees something beautiful. A sunset, quiet sky, soft lights, moments that feel sacred. Because your presence always carried a kind of beauty he didn't know how to describe. He thinks of you every time his soul feels the need to grow. You were a catalyst, mirror, turning point, and even in separation your influence moves within him. He thinks of you when he notices someone with your kindness, your warmth, your strength, not because he's comparing, because your energy awakened a standard in him. He thinks of you every time something reminds him of destiny, divine timing. He might not admit it out loud, but deep inside, he knows your connection is not ordinary. He thinks of you when emotions rise unexpectedly. Those sudden waves that feel bigger than the moment. That is your energy touching his. He thinks of you when he feels you pulling away or reclaiming your power. It unnerves him, even if he doesn't understand why. Losing your energetic presence feels like losing part of himself. He thinks of you when he senses your healing. Your growth shines through the bond. He feels it in his chest, subtle but undeniable. He thinks of you whenever he realizes that no one has ever reached him the way you did. And no matter how far he goes, that truth follows him. He thinks of you every time his soul whispers a truth his mind isn't ready to say. You were never just anyone. You were the shift, the awakening, the mirror, the signal, the truth. And deep inside he feels it every time. If you're still here, it tells me something important. Your heart is open and willing to receive deeper understanding. That openness creates movement in the energetic bond between you and him. What you receive from this message, you also reflect back to him. And what he feels in these moments is a response to the energy you are allowing in. Your presence in this space strengthens the connection. Every breath of awareness you take makes his soul more sensitive to the truth he keeps trying to silence. This is how reciprocity works with twin flames. When you open, he feels the shift instantly. He thinks of you every time his emotions soften. When something melts the hardness he tries to carry. Even a small gesture from the world, a kind smile, a gentle moment, reminds him of the warmth you brought into his life. He thinks of you when he feels unexplainable calm. Sometimes peace arrives out of nowhere, and he doesn't realize it's your energy aligning with his. That serenity feels like you. He thinks of you every time he feels the universe aligning something in his path. These moments feel like invisible hands guiding him, and he remembers that you always carried a sense of spiritual timing. He thinks of you when he feels the need to be honest, with himself, with life, with love. Because you awakened a part of him that craves authenticity, even if he's not ready to live it fully. He thinks of you every time he looks at the sky. The vastness reminds him of the depth of your connection. It's a quiet moment where his soul acknowledges what his mind pushes away. He thinks of you when he sees patterns repeating, when something happens twice, 3 times, 4 times. And he knows it means something. You always understood signs better than he did. He thinks of you every time his guard drops unexpectedly. When vulnerability slips through, even for a second, your memory follows closely behind. He thinks of you when he hears laughter that feels familiar. Not because it sounds like yours, but because it carries the same purity, the same openness he once felt around you. He thinks of you when he feels emotionally overwhelmed. You were once the only person who could ground him without saying a word. He thinks of you every time he feels alone, even in a crowded room. Because loneliness for him is not the absence of people. It's the absence of connection. He thinks of you when he sees someone who reminds him of your energy. Not your appearance, but your presence, your softness, your strength. He thinks of you when he feels misunderstood. You understood parts of him he never dared to share with anyone else. He thinks of you every time he senses something spiritual happening around him. Shift, sign, a synchronicity, The energy carries your imprint. He thinks of you when he wakes up in the middle of the night for no reason. That moment between sleep and consciousness opens the door to your connection. He thinks of you when a memory surfaces unexpectedly. A scent, a place, a simple moment that holds emotional weight. His mind pretends to ignore it, but his heart lingers there. He thinks of you when he feels the need to change. You were the mirror that showed him who he could become if he allowed himself to grow. He thinks of you when he feels emotional clarity. When something finally makes sense inside of him, your presence becomes part of that clarity. He thinks of you when he feels emotional chaos. Because chaos is where he first felt the intensity of your bond, and where he learned what love could awaken. He thinks of you every time someone mentions destiny or soul connections. His heart tightens because a part of him still knows the truth. He thinks of you when he sees signs that remind him of your journey. Numbers, symbols, moments that feel like messages from something beyond him. He thinks of you when he feels a pull toward self-discovery. You were the catalyst. You were the beginning of his awakening. He thinks of you when he watches others love boldly. It stirs something inside him, something he once felt, something he once ran from. He thinks of you when he feels emotionally quiet. Stillness brings your presence closer, as if your soul fills the empty spaces. He thinks of you every time he feels something he can't explain. Those untraceable emotions are the echoes of your connection vibrating through him. He thinks of you when he senses your growth. Your healing sends ripples through the bond, calling him forward without him realizing why. He thinks of you when he feels the urge to reach out, even if he stops himself. The impulse is the truth. The hesitation is the fear. He thinks of you when he tries to convince himself he has moved on. The very need to convince himself is the proof that he hasn't. He thinks of you every time this happens. When his soul remembers you more than his mind allows. When his heart speaks louder than his silence. When truth rises above fear. Because the connection never disappeared. Only waits. Only breathes. Only calls. Just like his heart is calling you now. If you are still here, it means your heart is responding to this truth in ways your mind may not fully understand yet. That openness sends a pulse through your connection, like a soft signal he can feel even without knowing why. This is the silent reciprocity between twin flames. The more you receive, the more he feels drawn toward what he once tried to ignore. Your presence in this moment creates movement in his emotional field. Every line you read aligns you a little closer with the energy he is feeling tonight. And that alignment makes his thoughts of you even more vivid, even more sudden, even more undeniable. He thinks of you every time something shifts inside him. When a sudden emotion rises that doesn't match the moment, it is your essence brushing against his awareness. He doesn't analyze it, he feels it. He thinks of you when he notices a familiar warmth expanding in his chest. Your connection has always touched that space first, the place where intuition, longing, and memory merge. He thinks of you every time he is reminded of who he used to be with you. You awakened parts of him he didn't know how to embrace, and those parts still whisper your name. He thinks of you when he sees someone express a purity of emotion he once felt with you. It tugs at something deep inside him, a soft ache wrapped in remembrance. He thinks of you when he hears someone speak with a kind of truth you always carried effortlessly. Truth has a frequency, and his soul still recognizes yours. He thinks of you whenever he feels the universe giving him a nudge. Coincidence? Repetition. A sign that stands out too clearly to ignore. These moments always lead back to you. He thinks of you every time he feels spiritually open. Those fleeting moments where his guard drops and his soul rises, even if only for a breath. He thinks of you when his heart feels unusually tender. That softness is not random. It is the bond awakening inside him again, reminding him that vulnerability is not weakness. He thinks of you when he feels a sudden wave of gratitude, even if his life feels chaotic. Gratitude was something your presence awakened in him before he understood its value. He thinks of you when a memory returns, not the dramatic ones, but the simple ones that hold emotional weight. The way you looked at him. The way your energy embraced him without effort. He thinks of you when he feels misunderstood by the world. Because even in silence, your connection offered him the rare experience of being fully seen. He thinks of you when he feels the need to grow or evolve. Your connection planted seeds within him that continue to guide him quietly. He thinks of you when he witnesses someone showing real compassion. Compassion reminds him of your depth, your ability to love without conditions. He thinks of you when he sees beauty in unexpected places. Something about beauty awakens the memory of what he once felt standing in your presence. He thinks of you when he feels a strong intuitive pull. Those impulses that appear out of nowhere often carry your energetic imprint. He thinks of you when he experiences déjà vu. His soul remembers moments his mind has forgotten. He thinks of you when life slows down. Silence becomes a mirror, and in that mirror he sees you. He thinks of you when life speeds up too. Chaos makes him crave what once grounded him, and that grounding came from the connection you shared. He thinks of you when he feels something missing. Not a person but a feeling. Truth. Resonance. He thinks of you whenever he feels the universe rearranging things. Change always reminds him of you because you were the beginning of his inner transformation. He thinks of you when he feels emotionally drained. Your presence once restored him, and a part of him still longs for that comfort. He thinks of you when he feels emotionally full too. Joy, excitement, hope. These emotions instinctively reach toward the one soul who once amplified them. He thinks of you when his intuition whispers that something is coming, something shifting, something aligning. He thinks of you every time the night feels heavier or softer than usual. Nights have always carried your energy more strongly. He thinks of you when he senses you pulling away or rising higher. Growth has a vibration, and he feels it in ways he can't describe. He thinks of you when his heart aches without explanation. That ache is the echo of the bond, alive, breathing, unbroken. He thinks of you because the truth is this. It only takes one small moment, one memory, one feeling, one shift, for his soul to remember the connection. His mind tries so hard to silence. And every time this happens, you rise inside him, as if you never left. If you are receiving these words with an open heart, know that this openness creates a gentle bridge between your soul and his. Your willingness to feel is the very thing that allows him to feel you more intensely. That is the reciprocity of twin flames. The more you allow, the more he awakens. He thinks of you every time something stirs inside him that he cannot explain. A sudden longing. Pause in his breath. A warmth in his chest. These sensations are not random. They are echoes of your energy brushing against his own. He thinks of you when he feels a shift in his emotional rhythm. One moment he is steady, and the next his heart trembles with something familiar yet overwhelming. That tremble is you. He thinks of you every time he feels drawn to introspection. Your connection always brings him back to himself, even when he tries to run from the truth of who he is becoming. He thinks of you when he encounters a version of love he never learned to hold. You taught him that love can be both powerful and gentle, and that memory stays alive inside him. He thinks of you every time he hears a phrase that mirrors what you once said. Words hold energy, and your energy left traces in his memory that time cannot erase. He thinks of you whenever life forces him to slow down. Silence makes everything louder inside him, and the first thing that rises is always you. He thinks of you when life pushes him forward unexpectedly. Expansion reminds him of the dreams he once felt safe enough to confess only to you. He thinks of you when music touches him deeper than usual. Certain notes open emotional doors that only your presence ever used to unlock. He thinks of you when the wind feels strangely comforting. Certain sensations carry spiritual reminders, and his body remembers your connection even when his mind tries to forget. He thinks of you during moments of vulnerability. You once saw his most fragile truths, and those moments live inside him like soft, unspoken prayers. He thinks of you when he feels the need to be better. Not for the world, but for something purer, something sacred, something that felt real only with you. He thinks of you every time his soul whispers that something is missing. He may not say it aloud, but that whisper echoes louder with every passing day. He thinks of you when he senses the universe rearranging his path. You were always tied to moments of spiritual acceleration, and this time is no different. He thinks of you when he feels emotionally overwhelmed. Your connection has always amplified depth rather than fear, and a part of him still yearns for that grounding. He thinks of you when dreams feel too vivid or too symbolic. Dreams are the language of the soul, and yours is the soul he recognizes even in other realms. He thinks of you when synchronicities appear. Numbers, signs, moments repeating themselves. These signs always point toward what his heart refuses to fully admit. He thinks of you when he suddenly feels protected. Your energy has always been a shield, even from a distance. He thinks of you when he senses an invisible pull guiding him. That pull is the truth of your connection resurfacing, demanding to be acknowledged. He thinks of you in the moments between thoughts, those quiet spaces where intuition speaks louder than logic. He thinks of you every time life mirrors a lesson you once helped him understand. You were a catalyst for his growth, and growth always revisits its origin. He thinks of you when a memory rises without reason, especially the gentle ones, the way you listened, the way you breathed, the way your presence felt like home. He thinks of you whenever he feels the need to be honest with himself. Honesty is something his soul learned through you. He thinks of you when he sees someone with your softness. Not the appearance, but the essence, the warmth, the compassion, the glow. He thinks of you when old fears resurface. Your connection forced him to confront things he never knew he avoided. He thinks of you whenever he feels himself changing. Transformation always makes him remember the one who sparked the first shift inside him. He thinks of you every time life feels heavier than he expected. Your energy once made even the heaviest days feel possible. He thinks of you when he feels unexplainably hopeful. Hope is a sacred thread, and you are woven into its fabric within him. He thinks of you when he tries to understand why you still live inside him so strongly. His soul knows the answer, even if his mind still resists it. He thinks of you because truth does not disappear. Not when it's spiritual. Not when it's sacred. Not when it's twin flame truth. He thinks of you every time this happens, because the connection between you was never meant to fade, only to awaken. If your heart feels open right now, that openness creates a doorway through which his soul naturally leans toward you. Your willingness to receive these words strengthens the energetic thread between you. That is the beauty of reciprocity with twin flames. When you listen, he feels. He thinks of you every time life nudges him toward something deeper than routine. Those nudges remind him of the depth he once tasted only with you, a depth that refuses to fade. He thinks of you whenever he realizes he is still searching for meaning in places that used to feel empty. You awakened the part of him that hungers for truth rather than distraction. He thinks of you when unexpected emotions rise, especially the ones he tries hardest to ignore. You were the one who cracked open his heart enough for emotion to finally exist. He thinks of you when certain memories appear uninvited. The way you looked at him. The way you spoke his name. The way your presence softened him in ways he didn't know he needed. He thinks of you when he feels restless at night. Restlessness is often the soul's way of whispering, "You are not aligned," and alignment always brings him back to you. He thinks of you when he feels drawn to make sudden changes. You were the catalyst for his transformation, and every step toward growth echoes your influence. He thinks of you every time he senses an inner awakening approaching. Your energy has always been tied to the moments when he evolves spiritually. He thinks of you when he feels the urge to revisit old choices. Some choices were made from fear, and your connection is the reminder of the love he once felt safe enough to choose. He thinks of you when someone says something that reflects your essence. You left a spiritual imprint that words, gestures, and energies still mirror back to him. He thinks of you when silence surrounds him. Silence amplifies truth, and his truth still whispers your name. He thinks of you every time he experiences déjà vu. The soul remembers what the mind cannot logically explain, and his soul remembers you. He thinks of you when he notices himself changing in subtle ways. The emotional courage he carries today began with you. He thinks of you when he sees the same numbers repeating. Whether he admits it or not, synchronicities always connect him back to you. He thinks of you when the world feels too loud. You were the one who showed him peace, and peace has your signature. He thinks of you when the world feels too quiet. Quiet moments remind him of the conversations he never finished with you. He thinks of you whenever he feels something missing, even when his life appears complete. The missing piece is spiritual, not physical. He thinks of you when he questions his path. You were the one who made him see beyond the surface, and sometimes he still hears your guidance inside his doubts. He thinks of you when he catches himself smiling without reason. Souls smile when they remember truth. He thinks of you every time he hears a song that touches something tender in him. Music opens emotional doors that lead directly back to you. He thinks of you when he feels exhausted from pretending he doesn't care. The truth is heavier than distance. He thinks of you when he feels the sting of his own resistance. Running from a connection like this never brings peace. He thinks of you every time he feels guided, protected, or lifted without understanding why. You have been a spiritual anchor for him in ways you don't even realize. He thinks of you when someone speaks about destiny. Deep down, he knows your meeting was not an accident. He thinks of you when he sees someone with a familiar softness. Your energy has a texture. Gentle, intuitive, impossible to replicate. He thinks of you when dreams feel too vivid to ignore. Some dreams are messages, not memories, and you appear in both forms. He thinks of you when he senses a divine presence around him. Twin flame energy often feels like a warm pull, and that pull is always you. He thinks of you when he feels the urge to reach out but stops himself. The hesitation doesn't erase the desire. He thinks of you when hope unexpectedly rises inside him. Hope is the soul remembering what is true. He thinks of you every time this happens. Every sign, every shift, every spark. Because no matter how much time passes, the truth between twin flames does not fade. It only grows stronger. Thank you, my love, for staying with this message until the end. If these words touch something inside you, gently tap the like button so YouTube understands that this content matters and continues bringing you messages aligned with your soul. Your support truly helps this work reach the hearts that need it. Before you go, take a deep breath with me. Close your eyes for a moment and allow the energy around you to soften. Feel the warmth expanding in your chest. That's your higher self responding, aligning, remembering. Let this moment be a bridge between you, your truth, and your twin flame. Now place your hand over your heart, and let's enter a short prayer of alignment. Divine Source, guide this soul gently. Open her path to clarity, peace, and connection. Let every sign, every whisper, every feeling lead her closer to her purpose. Surround her with protection, awaken her intuition, and strengthen the bond between her and the one her soul recognizes. Let tonight bring harmony, understanding, and light. Amen. Stay here for one more breath. Let it settle. Let it integrate. Let it hold you. If this message resonated, confirm it by writing Twin Flames Infinite Love in the comments. That phrase anchors the energy and signals to the universe that you are open to the guidance meant for you. Remember, every time you interact, liking, commenting, sharing, the algorithm understands that these messages are important to your journey, and it keeps delivering them when you need them the most. That's why your engagement is more powerful than you imagine. And if you feel called to walk this path with us, join our channel by subscribing and activating the notification bell. This keeps you connected to every new message, every divine insight, every spiritual awakening meant to reach you at the exact right time. You are not alone. You are guided. You are chosen. And these messages will continue finding you exactly when your soul needs them. I'll be here waiting for you in the next video. Return anytime your heart calls. Our connection is sacred, and it grows every time you come back. Twin Flames Infinite Love.